There we go. Hey everybody, it's Chris from Rock Guitar Lessons for Old Guys, and tonight I want to talk about practice motivation. This is possibly one of the very reasons that we're all here on this website, checking out this video or subscribing to Rock Guitar Lessons for Old Guys, because at some point we've all been frustrated with practicing and how to practice, and how to approach it, what to do, and no doubt some of you have just given up completely at times, as have I. At one point in my guitar playing career, I took a break for a couple of years. I was so I overplayed a lot. I was just doing a lot of stuff, and I just decided to put the guitar down and walk away for a little while, take a break, and then came back to it, obviously, because I just love it so much. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about two really important things that you can do to motivate yourself to get practicing and to avoid the frustration that comes with practicing or not practicing, more specifically, and all the sort of mental angst that comes along with that. So really, let's talk about the number one thing, which is that frustration of finding the time. Really, you get to the end of the day and you realize, oh man, I've not picked up the guitar, and that's probably the number one problem for most guitar players in the world, is just realizing that they're running out of time to actually practice because they've put everything else in front of their guitar playing. Whether that's your 9 to 5, your family, your own personal leisure time, whatever it is, there's a reason for it, and all of those reasons are totally valid. Guitar playing is meant to be an enjoyable thing, so as a sort of recreational thing, it's not always top of our priority list unless you're trying to be the number one guitar player in the world, in which case you probably practice all day, every day. So this video is not for you. But for the rest of us mere mortals, it's about trying to get that motivation and to try and stick with it to a certain extent. So there's two things that I suggest when you're trying to practice. And the first one is to just set aside a small amount of time. When I first started playing guitar, it was this sort of concept that you had to practice for hours a day to be any good. And over the years of studying how we learn, people have come to the conclusion that that's not necessarily the case. Now, certainly, time spent with your instrument and practicing is definitely a factor. And yes, if you practice for 4 hours a day and you practice well and you're focused, you're going to get really, really good. There is no doubt about that. But you don't need to. You don't need to do 4 hours a day of practice. You can get away with 5 minutes, really. And that sounds ridiculous. How would we go from 4 hours to saying you can get better in 5 minutes? Well, it comes down to doing it every day. Okay, so if you do 5 minutes on something every day and you are consistent, so let's just say, for example, you're going to practice that the Rock You Like a Hurricane riff that I did in my last video. Then do that for 5 minutes a day for a week, and you will get better. There's no doubt about it. But for that 5 minutes, you have to do it. There's no point going, I'm going to do this for 5 minutes, and then sitting with your guitar, like, jamming some blues stuff, or thinking about what you're going to have for dinner, all that kind of thing. So you need to make that 5 minutes count. And what I recommend is getting a timer and just saying, okay, I'm going to set this timer for 5 minutes, and for that 5 minutes I'm going to be completely focused on what I'm going to practice. And it works really well. I use it a lot in my practicing. That doesn't mean to say that you only do 5 minutes. That's not the case at all. If you want to do 10 minutes, 15, 20, an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, go for it. If you're going to do extended practices, then I would recommend splitting it up into different things. You don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again for 4 hours. You'll hurt yourself and you'll drive yourself nuts with boredom, really. A couple of things that have inspired me along the way is that practicing is two things. It's frustrating when it's not going well, when you're not getting the time to do it and you're not seeing the results. And it's also extremely addictive when you do get the time to do it and you do get the results. You know, there's nothing better than watching yourself improve and just being able to play over stuff and just getting better. Really, you know, it's a fantastic feeling and it's addictive. You want to pick up the guitar the next day as you get better and better. And I don't mean like, you know, Steve Vai better. I mean just a little bit better. As you find yourself improving, you find yourself wanting to play more, and that's great. You know, that's what it's all about. So that's my first little bit of advice, is just set aside a small chunk of time to start with and try and stick with that for a week or 2 weeks. And then, you know, maybe if you start to find that flow, you can maybe make that time a little bit bigger and see how that works for you. The other thing on this same topic is don't get frustrated if you miss a day. We all miss a day. I saw an interview with Joe Satriani, the Joe Satriani. You know, Surfing with the Alien, Mr. Surfing with the Alien. I saw an interview with him where he was saying, you know, there's times when he doesn't get to play, and he gets frustrated about that. But, you know, this is a guy that's a professional guitar player, top guitar player, you know, one of the top guitar players of all time, never mind in the world at this moment. You know, this guy's going to be considered one of the best forever. And he still gets frustrated with the fact that, you know, you don't always get the chance to play. I also had the opportunity to meet Steve Vai a few years ago, one of my heroes, and that was just an awesome moment. And at some point, not in this video, I'll tell you a funny Steve Vai story that he told me when I met him. But I got the opportunity to ask him exactly this: how do you find the motivation to play every day? And it seems like, you know, what a crazy question. It's Steve Vai, the guy's a professional guitar player. Why would you even ask him something like that? But it turns out that it's a very relevant question to ask anyone, because Steve Vai has to run Steve Vai Incorporated or Limited or whatever his company is. And that doesn't mean that he gets to play guitar all day, every day. He's got a business to run. So he was telling me that, yeah, some days I don't get to play guitar for weeks because I'm working on a promotional thing, or I'm, you know, doing something that's just not related to playing guitar. It's obviously to do with Steve Vai, the guitar player, but it might be, you know, writing liner notes for his CDs, or editing videos, you know, this kind of stuff, whatever. But it's not directly playing guitar. So he was saying that, yeah, when he's in those sorts of periods in his career, he has to make that effort as well. At the end of the day, you know, once his work is done, he goes and does it. So it happens to all of us. It's great to hear that from someone like him, you know, that he has those moments as well. So my second piece of advice, and this is the best bit of advice you've ever heard for practicing, is make it fun. And hey, this is Rock Guitar Lessons for Old Guys, right? So I'm just going to say it straight. Drink a beer or wine or whatever it is that you enjoy doing to relax, you know. Just say, hey, you know, part of my practice is I'm going to sit down with a cold beer or a nice glass of wine. I'm going to practice through some stuff for a few minutes and just drink my beer and make that sort of part of your routine. Obviously, if you're doing like 4 hours of practice, a day, every day, maybe hold back on the beer drinking. You don't want to end up with a problem, right? But for the rest of us that are sort of casual practices, if you like, nothing wrong with that. Just end of the evening, just pick up your guitar and go, hey, I'm going to work on that scale, or I'm going to work on Rock You Like a Hurricane, and I'm going to drink a beer while I do it. There's this kind of mentality that practicing has to be serious, dude. Be serious about your practice. It's like, nah, we're all in this to enjoy playing guitar. So, whatever helps. That's my philosophy. So in the next lesson, I'm going to talk about what to practice. The big question is, I get asked, is there a set of things that I should be practicing that are going to make me a great guitar player? Is there a set of things? Can you show me a set of things? And the answer is yes, there is, and no, there isn't. So on that bombshell, we will talk about exactly what that means in the next lesson. I hope this has been of help. Somebody stick some comments in if they have anything to add to that, and somebody comment me and remind me to tell the funny Steve Vai story, and I will do that in a separate video. My Steve Vai story. If you don't know who Steve Vai is, you're at the wrong website. This is Rock Guitar Lessons for Old Guys. Old guys that like rock guitar know who Steve Vai is. If you really don't know who he is, then go check him out on YouTube right now. So that's it for this lesson. Have a good week, guys. Get into some practicing, get yourself motivated, and pick up those guitars. Okay, peace out. See you next time. Bye-bye. Oh man, how do I turn this stuff off? Been rambling so long my mouse is turned off. Here we go. Alright, I'm out of here.